Welcome back. We're discussing the aftermath of the war on Gaza and the condition of medical services in the Strip following the devastation earlier there this year. With me is Mads Gilbert, a Norwegian doctor who was in Gaza during the Israeli offensive earlier this year. He joins us from Chicago. And Mahmoud Daher, an officer with the World Health Organization who's based in Gaza. Mahmoud Daher, we have a question that came in by email from France. If I could put this one to you. It came from Bruno Druski, who writes in regularly from Paris, who says, do you think the international campaign of boycott of Israel and Egypt, that's trade, tourism, universities, hospitals, etc., could help to force open the blockade? What do you think?
Well, the blockade has been imposed by the Israeli authorities since 2006. The whole international community should advocate for the opening of the crossings, and who is controlling this crossing is the occupying power. The occupying power in this case is Israel. The borders of the Gaza Strip is controlled by an agreement that was made between the Palestinian Authority and Israel by the end of 2005. There have been no adherence to the agreements that were in place, and Israel should be the one who should respond to the international community in the calls to open the borders. Gaza Strip cannot survive without borders being open. There are no materials coming into Gaza Strip through the borders in order to reconstruct or rehabilitate the destructions that were made by the Israeli forces. And in this case, the international humanitarian law should be applied here in order to allow all kinds of materials to come in, also the mobility of human beings.
Mahmoud Daher, this is an interesting point I want to put to Mads Gilbert, to Dr. Gilbert, which came in the form of a message from our chat room here from Sweden, from Hassan Ali, who's in Sweden, who wrote in on the chat room saying, why has the international community failed to take action against Israel's crimes committed in Gaza? Of course, I know there's been some looking into the white phosphorus that was used and evidence of certain weapons that were used.
Well, it's a very, very important question, and I'm afraid I don't have a good answer. I've been puzzled by this through the 30 years that I've been working in the occupied territories. And I think this is what really is bothering the Arab world, that there is this double standard. The West is supporting Israel when they do the atrocities. On the other hand, they impose harsh sanctions and blockade, for example, as they did during Saddam regime in Iraq. Now, looking beyond the political question, there is no question about it that the blockade and the bombing of a besieged people is against humanitarian law, the Geneva Convention. It is a war crime, what has been going on in Gaza the 23 days. And I mean, I guess the reason and the answer to our friend in Sweden is that America, the United States, is backing Israel so forcefully that they are being evicted from all other juridical systems that would take them to court. Had it been in Yugoslavia, had it been otherwhere in the world, they would probably have been taken to the international court.
Dr. Gilbert, an email that came in from Canada from Mark Rosen in British Columbia put to you, who says, the same war has been going on in Sri Lanka for a longer period of time with the exact same circumstances. The government is going after the Tamil Tiger terrorists, with hospitals and schools being bombed with no regard for human life. Where is Dr. Gilbert? I guess the person is wondering, or at least I guess I must wonder, how do you decide your locations?
Well, I can tell my friend in Canada, I've been in Tamil Eelam. I've worked with Tamil Tigers. I've been doing medical training there. I've been training both lay people and the medical staff in the medical healthcare system a few years ago. I could not go back this time. I would have loved to go back, because I think he rightly puts the point that the Tamil conflict in Sri Lanka, or rather the attack on the Tamils in Sri Lanka, is the Palestine of Asia, really. So I'd like to be there, but I'm one person and I can only be one place at a time. So anybody who could go, please go to support the Tamil people.
Mahmoud Daher, one of the issues that it seems the population in Gaza is facing now is that in the past they were able to head out of the territory to be able to get treatment for critical medical issues, but even those have been blocked partly, I guess, because of the fighting between Fatah and Hamas. But I wonder, when you look at the situation, how you assess that, and also this question from the chat room that came from George in Massachusetts in the USA, who says, how are the Gazans doing in general health after all this time?
Well, in general, the health conditions in the Gaza Strip, as has been said during all the last period, is in difficult conditions. The social determinants of health in Gaza are deteriorating. The poverty rate is high. The unemployment rate is high. The conditions to access healthcare services is very difficult. Are very difficult. On top of that, the access to healthcare services outside Gaza Strip is difficult. The closure that has been imposed on the Gaza Strip didn't help the people, and there are many services that are not available in Gaza Strip. There are many, mainly the tertiary care services. We see people with cancer, with heart conditions, with neurological conditions, with ophthalmological conditions that are not getting out of Gaza Strip because these services are not available at the health services in Gaza, and the people cannot get out mainly because of the closure. Because in any given conditions, people can go get their car and go wherever they can seek the service. Here there is need to get permissions from authorities and get security checks, access through borders, and seeking medical services that are located outside Gaza Strip. All this is a burden on the situation, on the population, and the quality of the life of the people is being affected. Not only the life and the threat on the life of people, but families are suffering because they cannot get their beloved ones out for medical services.
There's an issue actually I wanted to raise with Dr. Gilbert, that based on an email that we got from Australia. Jim Robb from Queensland wrote in saying, we should be ashamed to not help these people more than we do. What can we do to really make them understand in the Strip that some of us do care? I wonder, while you were working there during that time in December and January, how much the people of Gaza felt that they had been perhaps deserted by the international community?
Well, Jim Robb, that's an important question, and I can assure you that we did whatever we could to convey to the Palestinians around us the support and the solidarity movements, for example, in Norway. I think it's incredibly important that each one take responsibility and raise their voice and tell, be it their local government or some local community, that we don't accept this treatment of other human beings. This pressure has to be international, it has to be increasing, and this is the way we got away with apartheid in South Africa. That was by a large international movement saying, enough is enough, we don't accept this. And that's the only language the international leaders understand. I'd like to add one point to the health situation for the people in Gaza. Don't forget that there are 40,000 pregnant women at all times in Gaza, about 370 deliveries per day, and all of these women were lacking decent pregnancy care and delivery care during the attacks, and that is another aspect of the deteriorating health situation. It's totally unacceptable. It's totally against humanitarian law, and I think from Australia to Norway, from the United States to the Arab world, we need to raise our voices and say, this is, regardless of our points of politics, this is against humanity. We don't accept that other people are treated in this way. Well, it has happened before.
It has
happened before in history. It happened before in history that it was enough to stamp somebody with a category. Like it was enough in 1938 to call somebody a Jew, to treat them in the most horrendous way. We don't accept that this is repeated. It's enough today to call somebody a terrorist and they are denied humanitarian laws. We don't accept that. We don't want to repeat history.
Let's get in a quick call from Abdul Samad in the United Arab Emirates. Good to hear from there. Go ahead, Abdul Samad.
Oh, yes. I hear that the whole world is going to contribute money and rebuild Gaza. And I'm wondering, is there any guarantee that it will not be destroyed again by Israel. Is there anybody to tell Israelis, enough, like the doctor is saying, enough is enough.
Right.
Enough killing,
Okay.
enough destruction.
Mahmoud Daher, unfortunately, I only have about 20 seconds for you. Just, is there any prospect of a rebuild there? Any signs of rebuilding?
Well, rebuilding Gaza Strip needs commodities, needs infrastructure material. If these are going to be allowed, yes, there are possibilities to rebuild.
Right.
But since the borders are closed, there are no.
All right. Well, Mahmoud Daher and Dr. Gilbert, I want to thank you very much for joining us. Really, it was good to talk about this subject. Hope to speak with you again. Dr. Gilbert, good luck with your work as well.
Thank you.
Thank you both. And thank you for being with us. On the next show, the leaders of all the countries in the Western Hemisphere meet at the Summit of the Americas this weekend. They all have relationship with Cuba, except for the United States. What chance is there? Anything might change in that soon. We'll debate the issues at the heart of the US sanctions against Cuba. From me and the team, see you next time.